Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Krystal?
Indeed, we do. Many interesting things to get to this morning. So we have all known that Biden and his team are in a bubble, but now we have some astonishing new reporting giving us some of the details, the color and the texture of that bubble that I think you'll find very interesting. Also taking a look at what's going on with NVIDIA and asking the question, are we facing another crash a la the .com bubble burst? So we'll look at that. Also on foreign policy, Russia making a new pact with North Korea. Where did this come from? What does it mean? Quite an extraordinary move. Meanwhile, the IDF spokesperson, Daniel Hagari, is rebuking Bibi directly and admitting that it is impossible to defeat Hamas, which has been their purported goal all the way along. So that's very interesting. We also have a mother of a Boeing 737 MAX plane crash victim who went off on CNN against the Boeing CEO. This woman is amazing, and she is incredibly correct about everything she's saying. I'm taking a look at the vaunted humanitarian pier debacle. Saagar is taking a look at the Zin debacle.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
It's a black day for many of us.
Yes, indeed. So lots to get to this morning.
Yeah, that's right. Before we get to that, thank you to everybody who's been signing up, premium subscriber. Our interview, or my interview with Candace Owens dropped early. In general, that's what we do here. We've got the debate that's come, or not a debate, what is it? Counterpoints with Matt Taibbi that will come out early for premium subscribers today, and then it will drop for the general public later on. So if you can support us, breakingpoints.com, we really appreciate it.
We do have a presidential debate coming up.
Oh my God, yeah, that's right. Next week we have a presidential debate. So yeah, if you want to participate, support us and our ability to do that. You're going to get some special features, etc. breakingpoints.com. So there you go.
All right, let's get to the very latest with the Biden campaign. We're going to start with CNN having their old pal, Brian Stelter, back on the air to provide us with a heaping dose of some Biden cope about why the public is viewing him as an old man. Let's take a listen to that.
That's what we're seeing. That's what the Biden administration, the Biden campaign is so worried about right now. But make no mistake, they are worried about this. This is a real problem. This is not some made-up fiction. The videos are oftentimes made up, but the problem is real. Because some of us, Abby, watch a 40-minute speech by Biden. We see the full context. Other people only watch a 5-second clip. And that's going to be something that's going to, I suspect, follow Biden for the rest of this campaign.
You know, I've also
many
watched
of them made up.
To the extent that I can take watching a 40-minute speech, typically of Biden on double speed. I think the conclusion that people will come away with is even more dire than the short clips that get pulled out.
This is just pure White House regurgitated propaganda. And in fact, my friends who are on the White House press corps are the ones who are most concerned about Biden. They're like, dude, you don't even know the half of it in terms of the stuff that doesn't make it to the clips. This is something that you hear consistently from all of the people who are forced to. And yeah, you and I are probably in the top 0.1% of people who have to consume the vast majority of what this man does on a daily basis. And, you know, even sticking with that, many of the things that make me cringe are not even the ones that go viral. You're just like, oh my, just watching this person on the stage. But this is the new media regurgitation of the White House line about cheap fakes. Quote unquote, a cheap fake is a video I don't like that happens to show Biden looking really, really old, like wandering off in the middle of the G7, being led away by Barack Obama. They can try and spin these things all they want, and it's really evident now that they're basically trying to imply that the videos themselves, as Stelter says, are fake. He wants you to believe they are fake. No, they are real. At the very least, you could say they are edited out of context. Show us the full context. We showed you the full context. It doesn't look good, no matter which way that you spin it.
That's right. The one they really objected to is the one where, you know, they're at the D-Day commemoration and the parachuters are coming down. Is that what they're called? Parachuters? And everybody is like looking at this one guy and Biden's like wandering off over here. Now, the clip of that went viral that the Republicans were pushing, it did zoom in on Biden, so you couldn't see there was anything else going on over here. We showed you the full one so you could see, and I think you probably also felt that it didn't look great, especially in the context of everything else. And here's the other thing, is like, all right, if he's so with it, like, put him out, give him some interviews, you know, let him take questions from the press. They very rarely do any of that. So it tells you that his own circle realizes this is a problem, realizing he isn't ready to perform at that level. Although the level of delusion within that circle, the close circle of Biden aides, is apparently astounding. Let's put this up on the screen. From Axios, Top Dems, Biden has a losing strategy. Senior Democrats, including some of President Biden's aides, are increasingly dubious about his theory for victory in November, which relies on voter concerns about January 6th, political violence, democracy, and Donald Trump's character. But Biden's core inner circle has not lost faith in that approach, they write, the product of Biden and his longtime aide, Mike Donnellan. That puts them on an island within much of the party about what will decide the election, as polls consistently show Biden tied or behind even after a slight bump following Trump's criminal conviction. Some of the details here are really extraordinary. And just so you guys know, I mean, it's no surprise, Biden's been in politics a long time, and he has a very small handful of aides and confidants who've been with him for like decades, who are the people he turns to and trusts. If you aren't in that circle, then you don't matter. And you also get from this that people are very nervous about bringing to Biden or that inner circle of aides any sort of bad news or dissenting voices, because they worry they'll get shut out or potentially even, let go. They just don't want to hear it. They believe things are going to be fine. The lessons they took from the midterms and also from Biden's own primary victory was to, ignore the doubters. We know what we're doing. And that has really helped to seal in this very tight bubble. Let's put some of the quotes up here on the screen. This is A3. A Dem strategist in touch with the campaign told Axios it is unclear to many of us watching from the outside whether the president and his core team realize how dire the situation is right now and whether they even have a plan to fix it. That is scary. Mike Donnellan, who we just mentioned, who was one of those top aides in the inner circle and has been for many, many years, he has reassured people that voters will, quote, do the right thing by rejecting Trump, per a Biden aide who heard him say it. Joe Biden is a great president, and great presidents get reelected is another another common Donnellan refrain. So that's the level of analysis we're dealing with here is, don't worry, it's fine. We don't need to change course. It's all good.
I really don't even know what to say. I mean, when you look at some of the things here, for example, Donnellan has argued January 6th will affect the 2024 election as much as 9/11 was central to 2004. Quote, the Democratic Party didn't want to believe it was a 9/11 election. I decided after the election I would never be part of a campaign that didn't figure out with clarity what it wanted to say and stick to it. Well, he's working for the Biden campaign. What do you need to be smoking to believe that January 6th is relevant in any way like 9/11 was to the 2004 election? It's also incredibly stupid to call it the 9/11 election. It was not about 9/11. It was about Iraq, and it was about all of the insane war on terror nonsense that led up to it, which was directly relevant. In 2004, when Americans went to the ballot box, American troops were dying in Iraq. We had a huge debate. What the hell are we going to do? Now, John Kerry was not particularly great on the issue of Iraq, part of the reason I think that he lost. But my point is just that how is that possibly relevant in the same way that it is now? It's not. It's one where you could theoretically say democracy or whatever is at the top of the ballot. And I don't want to whitewash that. I think it's possible, and more because Fox News just had a poll. It came out last night, making big waves. It actually showed democracy, quote unquote, at the top of voter preference. Now, I would be very curious to see what the age of the people who are surveyed and asked about that. So yeah, for old people, I'm not going to deny that it's not important, but to say it is the important election where everyone from 18 to 85 is all on the same page, which we were in 2004, not even close. Yeah. Not even close.
Yeah. No, that's right. And one of the things that people are rightly pointing out in this Axios article is just that the Biden team really took the wrong lessons from both 2020 and from 2022. So in 2020, Biden's able to win the primary, not because people were like, oh, he's got the right message and this is really our guy, but because there was a massive internal Democratic Party movement to coalesce around Biden as the only person who could possibly stop Bernie Sanders at that at that time, orchestrated primarily by Barack Obama. I mean, we all remember how that worked. If that hadn't happened, Biden was getting his ass kicked. And that's pathetic, given you were the previous vice president under Barack Obama. You did have this sort of like halo of goodwill around you. He was the logical successor. And if it wasn't for them, you know, Jim Clyburn coming in and Barack Obama coming in and everybody dropping out except for Elizabeth Warren at the right time in order to coalesce behind him, he was going to lose to Bernie Sanders, who they all absolutely hated. So they, you know, instead of seeing that, he saw it and his aides saw it as like, oh, we had the right message and voters chose us affirmatively. It's like, no, there were a lot of forces at work that had nothing to do with that. And then in 2022, the, you know, campaign advisors and political bigwigs or whoever they talked to for this article were saying, listen, the candidates we were running in 2022 in the midterms, they were all running away from Biden. They were all trying to distance themselves from Joe Biden. So to take credit for, you know, outperforming in the midterms is preposterous, because part of why we were able to be successful is to the extent that strategy of being like, that guy, we don't even barely know him. We're going to be different from Joe Biden. That's not our person. That's part of what was successful in Democrats, you know, doing well in the midterms. You can see that right now with the fact that Senate candidates are outperforming Joe Biden in every single contest, in every single swing state. So they really got lucky with a lot of these things, but they think that they engineered all of this. And so that has given them this insane level of confidence that is absolutely crazy. You know, just speaking to the work environment here, and again, how they don't let in any dissenting voices from this consensus of like, it's all good and we got this and Joe Biden's a great president, so of course he's going to get reelected. They say in the article, people close to the president told Axios they worry about raising concerns in meetings because Biden's group of longtime loyal aides can exile dissenters. Quote, even for those close to the center, there is a hesitance to raise skepticism or doubt about the current path for fear of being viewed as disloyal, a person in Biden's orbit told Axios. There is not a discussion that a change of course is needed. So not only have they decided on this change of course, they have committed to this course, they have committed to this course, and they are locking the doors and sealing the gates to make sure that no other viewpoint gets in whatsoever. It really is pretty astonishing. Now, it is important to note the Fox News poll, which showed, as Saagar mentioned, that, you know, democracy is a top concern there, even above, it was above the economy, right?
Yes.
The economy, I think, was number 2 after that. And something else, I was like, stability.
I have it in front of me. So future democracy, extremely important to 2020 votes, 68%. Economy is 66%. Stability, normalcy, 58%. Immigration, 52%. Healthcare, 52%. Then abortion, and then guns.
Yeah.
So if we combine future democracy, stability, and normalcy, look, this is, I want everyone to be clear here on this show. Nobody is like, Biden is going to lose, 100%.
It's over.
Nobody here on this show will ever say that. Nobody will even allow anyone to say that unchallenged. And it's because of this X factor. I will not erase it or look past it or undercount it after the 2022 election. And I want everybody to have their eyes wide open going into this. Creed reference accepted. My point is just that whenever we look at what is happening here with the election, if you were Biden, why would you not be doing everything in your power to actually get this done? And he is betting it all very much in the same way they did 2020, very arrogantly thinking he could. And he almost lost. I mean, we were like we were Trump endorsing mail-in balloting a week before the election away from him winning the entire election. We were Trump, you know, overriding Mitch McConnell and sending out those $2,000 stimulus checks from winning the entire election. Like, we can't just forget that things turn like so sharply, and he's just acting like that isn't happening right now.
Yeah, they act like they won in a landslide, and it was because of some brilliant strategy. When one of the quotes in here is, Joe Biden didn't win in 2020. Yeah. Donald Trump lost.
Right.
And I think that is a much more accurate way to look at it through some really obvious and devastating errors. I mean, the handling of COVID being the overarching theme, but you're right. Just on these couple of little decisions, the decision to reject mail-in balloting alone probably changed the results of that election. Last thing to put up on the screen here. So on the one hand, you have the Fox News poll that actually shows not just that issue set that looks good for Joe Biden, him surging into a small lead over Donald Trump for the first time in a number of months in that poll. Significant shift in favor of him just, you know, vis-a-vis the Fox News poll. Take that for what it's worth. On the other hand, put this last A5 up on the screen here, Trump is currently beating Biden in a lot of the polls, and I think the average of polls, despite the fact Trump's campaign has aired no ads in May, none. While Biden's campaign has been flooding swing states with their ads. So as of late May, they say Biden campaign was airing $13.6 million worth of ads. Trump campaign had yet to spend a penny on TV spots, according to the Wesleyan Media Project. Now, that doesn't mean there are no pro-Trump ads airing in the U.S. Outside groups supportive of the candidate have bought $8 million in ads. But even when you factor in such spending, pro-Biden ads have been outnumbering pro-Trump ads by slightly more than 2 to 1. So even with a, what is still a significant fundraising advantage, although that gap is rapidly closing, even with a massive ad spend advantage at this point, Biden is either, tied or behind Donald Trump in national polls. And certainly when you look at swing state polling, the position for Biden tends to look even worse. So not a great place to be in as we head into like the summer and, then into the really prime time part of this campaign.
Yeah, exactly. And look, how is it going to work out? I don't want anyone to just say that either is in total favor. The 538 average right now is Trump wins 50 times out of 100 and Biden wins 49 out of 100. We're in a genuine.
What happens to that other one?
Let's see. Oh, less than 1 in 100 chance of no electoral college winner. I actually was looking at that. It would mean that
they tie 270, 270.
It would be 269, 269. So what it would be is Trump would win Georgia, or he would lose. He would win Wisconsin. He would win Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. He would lose Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. Or no, he would win Nevada, but Biden would somehow win that
the one
in Omaha, or maybe Trump would have won it. But anyway, that would put it at 269 to 269. So I mean, that'd be kind of fun because it would be thrown to the House of Representatives. What was it called? Contingent election? Is that what we decided?
What it is called,
Contingent election, which we haven't seen in a very, very long time.
I'm sure the history buff in you will go wild with that one.
I would need to read a lot of books.
Yeah.
I think it's 1876 is the corrupt bargain or whatever it was called with Rutherford B. Hayes. Anyway, it's been a long time since we've seen anything like that. But as of things right now, it is a genuine toss-up. If I was Biden, there's no reason that I wouldn't be working to try and make it 60 out of 100, 60. I mean, remember, Hillary had a 2/3 chance, according to the polls, of winning in 2016. She lost. A coin toss is not where I want to be if I'm running for president.
Yeah.
But when you're this old, that's probably the best you can do.
I think the thing with Biden that I'm increasingly realizing as we look at his domestic policy, as we look at his foreign policy, I think this will be relevant when we talk about Russia and North Korea and the mistakes and the missteps that the Biden administration has made that have led us to this place. He is locked in a paradigm of the world that is like 20,
long
30
gone.
Years outdated. And because of his age, that there's just no shifting it. And it's also the case with, how he runs this operation. Like, this is how he's been. These are the people he's comfortable with. This is the circle. This is who he trusts. This is how, this is who he's going to go to for guidance. And there's just no changing that at this point. It's ossified. It's locked in. And so, I think that's reflected when you say, and by the way, a lot of these people that he really trusts are also pretty old.
No,
so
isn't Tom Donilon like 80
Mike
plus?
Donilon.
Or sorry, Mike Donilon. Isn't he like 80 plus or something like that?
I don't know if he's quite, let me look.
Okay,
let me
let's
look.
see.
But he's not young.
All right.
What do we got?
He's 65.
65.
Sorry, is he spring chicken?
Yeah, compared to these people.
What am I thinking?
Feels like he's been around
He just
forever.
qualified for Social Security. I apologize, Mike. It's not like you don't have 40-year-old children or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Well.
In any case, so I think that is part of why there is such a stubborn reluctance to hear anything outside of everything's great, we got this, the polls are wrong, don't worry about it, sir. You've been a great president, I promise you, sir. You've got no problems.
Yeah, I really am just praying. I want a shakeup so badly. And this is the problem with Trump. Trump, I saw him sit for a Time magazine interview, and even some of his supporters are like, why is he doing this? I'm like, guys, because he's literally a child of the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah. Biden also sat for a Time interview.
That's what I mean.
Right?
They're like, oh, Time magazine? People like me are like, what? Like Time magazine? You mean the one that had the shitty Time for kids in the 2000s and then went bankrupt or whatever? It's like, but in their head, they're like, oh, Henry Luce, Life magazine, Time magazine. that's the generation that they come from. So that's what they revere. If you were, if somebody come from me and let's say I was running for president like 10 years now or whatever, and they're like, oh, the Nelk boys want to have you on. I'm like, okay, all right, that actually means something to me. I'm like, that actually is like a huge platform or something like that. But these guys, they're totally locked in.
Well,
I guess Trump, to his credit, he will sit with Logan Paul or whatever, but the rest of them, he doesn't understand though the same power. He does it because his advisors tell him to. He doesn't have the actual reverence.
Yeah, he still has the love for the New York Times.
Yes.
And they cannot get away from it. I mean, think about Joe Biden and the columnists that he loves
Friedman,
and trusts.
Zakaria.
Yeah, exactly.
These guys have been on TV or writing in politics and have been wrong since I was a small child. When I was coming up, I used to read them and be like, these guys are idiots. And I'm thinking this when I'm, 15 years old? And now it's been 20 years almost, and they're still doing the same job, and they're still wrong in the same positions. And Biden is like, praying and inviting them to the White House. Like, what do you think, Fareed? Tell me what to do.
Well, I mean, in fairness, he is crushing it with the Mike Donnellan age plus demographic.
Yeah, that's right.
So, in terms of his campaign model that was honed in 1985, he's crushing it.
Yeah, that kills me. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.